Hello YouTube land. I want to show you 5 different 22 Magnum loads, and what these loads are for my Ruger LCRx 1 7/8 inch barrel. It's a 6-shot revolver, and I'm going to take you through all these loads, tell you what kind of like the average velocity is and the foot-pounds energy. The first one we're going to look at is the 45 grain 700 feet per second, 48 foot-pounds. This is Winchester Subsonic. And for a lot of you new people, you have to understand that 22 Magnum was more or less for mostly rifles. So this particular round here, what it does is in a rifle, it gives it a lower velocity so that it doesn't make as much noise. I don't know why they reduced the charge in the 22 Magnum and made it just a lead bullet, but it has to be lead because it's going slow, and in a rifle it's got to be able to expand. And the only way to do that is you have to remove that jacket and just make it a regular hollow point. Now in a 20-inch barrel, this is probably going about 1080 feet per second. So once again, a lot of 22 Magnum rounds are meant pretty much for rifles, but we're going to get into some that you could use in pistols. You can use all these in pistols, but there's a specific, there's some specific ones that are made just for pistols to get the best out of pistols. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the subsonic one, and that was the most abundant ammo on Minnesota shelves in the cities here for at least 1 or 2 years. So this one was always on the shelf, no matter what, no matter if there was riots or COVID or anything like that. But you can see why a lot of people probably didn't want it, is because a lot of people don't have a 22 Magnum. So it wasn't really popular before the riots or epidemic or whatever you want to call it, the COVID thing. However, there's a lot of guys that are getting more into it. So 22 Magnum was totally abundant on shelves before everything happened, to the point where they had to stop, or they had to start dropping prices because nobody would take it. So, and then I came along and I bought quite a bit of it, and I still do today. So it's getting more popular because pistols are using it now. You know, the Kel-Tec PMR 22 mag, and a lot of different pistols are using 22 Magnum. So, and especially revolvers, it's really good to have this cartridge. So, but anyway, there's that first one. The second one, now we're moving into ammo that's specifically made for self-defense. Even though the rest of these you could use them, this one was specifically made for the short barrels and for self-defense, for pocket guns and stuff. So 40 grain, 1100 feet per second, 107 foot-pounds. This is Spear Gold Dot Defense Hollow Point. And as a lot of you know, Spear was bought up by Federal. So, and then obviously Federal is owned by somebody too, but I forget the name of the company. So there's the box. Spear Gold Dot is known in law enforcement too, so anytime you buy Spear Gold Dot products, it's going to say law enforcement there. So, not that citizens, you know, can't have it or whatever. It's just that Spear on all their products. They always say #1 choice in law enforcement, even if law enforcement doesn't use it. I suppose a 22 revolver, you know, kind of like mine, my Ruger. I suppose some police officers might have like an ankle holster or something like that. So I don't know, because I don't ask too many police officers about ankle holsters. I don't know what they're wearing, but they'll probably have a small Ruger LCP or something tiny. So, and not just them, but citizens. The next one here, we got 40 grain, 1100 feet per second. This is Cci Max Mag. Forgive me for the blurriness here. So we got CCI Mini or Maxi Mag. Mini Mag would be the 22. This is Maxi Mag. And let's see if I can clear up the camera. I wish it was manual focus instead of autofocus always messes things up. So 40 grain, 1100 feet per second, 107 foot-pounds. This is CCI Maxi Mag. A target full metal jacket flat nose, and there it is, just your simple flat nose target load. Now this one here was made for rifles, but like I said, you can use it in pistols. The Spear Gold Dot right here was specifically made for pistols for defense, but there's another one called Critical Duty that I don't have here, and I think that's 45 grains, and it has a little red tip like this one does, but it's 45 grains. So let's move on to the next one. Now here's another spear. This here is 30 grains, 1340 feet per second, 119 foot-pounds. This is Spear TNT. It's a Varmint hollow point. And if you notice on this one, it's got the same design as far as the bullet, but it's a little bit wider at the top than your defense one over here. So the difference between these two is the weight. This is 40 grains. This is 30 grains, so these are moving a lot quicker. And this is used for hunting or varmint. So I'll show you the box here, and you can see what I meant about Spear being owned by Federal. And then Federal obviously has somebody that owns it too. But you can see there's a picture of a squirrel on there, so it's designed pretty much for hunting, environment and use and stuff like that. Okay, and then the next one, this one here is 30 grain, 1340 feet per second. And the reason why I average these out to 1340 is because they're so close, you might as well just round them off. So just to give you guys an idea. So what we got here is we got a 30 grain, 1340 feet per second, 119 foot-pounds of energy. This is a Hornady VMAX Varmint round, and it's got the poly tip. And as you can see, it's got the poly tip right there. And then here's what the box looks like. There it is. So you got 5 of these loads, and obviously the Critical Duty is the one I don't have, which is 45 grains, and apparently that one's about 125 foot-pounds. So you're looking at a Ruger LCRx with the 1 7/8 inch barrel that's got the energy of probably a 32 ACP, somewhere around there, but the diameter of the bullet is smaller. And these are really good with penetration, and bare gel and stuff, a lot of these were getting 15 inches, depending on which load you're using, but definitely has a lot more energy than a 22. As a matter of fact, if you take a 22 standard round right here, in a rifle, your standard velocity 22 is about 100 foot-pounds of energy in a 20-inch barrel. But yet, the Ruger LCRx with the 1 7/8 inch barrel is having the same energy, but within such a short barrel. So that goes to show you that a 22 Magnum is a very powerful rimfire cartridge compared to the 22. It's not to say that the 22 is bad. People like 22 for plinking because it's so abundant, whereas 22 Magnum can cost, about anywhere from $15 to $20 for 50, depending on which load you get. So obviously, $4.99 or even $3.50 boxes of 22 and 50 count are definitely going to be cheaper, and especially your bulk packs. But that just goes to show you, I'll show you the difference here, cartridges for new people. So basically what you're getting in the 22 Magnum is you're getting double the energy for having that longer cartridge and having more powder. And a lot of people have to know that the diameter of the rim is different on a 22 Magnum and the shell than a 22. It's different. They call it a 22, but you have to understand that you don't want to shoot 22 in a 22 Magnum because the rim doesn't fit in the cylinders like it should. Now you could do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. So, because it just doesn't fit right. So, and then I'm going to show you guys the gun that goes with this. So give me a second here. Be patient with me. I do all my videos cold turkey, like I told you guys before, even though it's not Thanksgiving, but but I do everything without edits. I don't believe in edits. A lot of people edit and they'll pause the video because they don't say something right, and I just go right over it. And if I screw up in my speech or what I'm saying, I get lost or say the wrong thing, I don't really care that much about it. It's not a big deal to me. I don't get paid for these videos anyway, so even if I did, you know, I just like doing my videos where I don't have to worry about editing stuff and cutting stuff out. I just go right through it. Okay, the very first thing you want to do with a firearm is you want to clear it. So off camera, I'm gonna clear this. There's no ammunition in it, but I'm just gonna open the cylinder and show you guys that I clear it. Always, no matter what they tell you. Okay. And here we got a 6-shot Ruger LCRx 22 Magnum. And you can see that it's got this plastic thing in here, but still, we're not going to trust that. Even though that's in there, we want to check our bore and make sure there's nothing stuck down in there like a squib from the last shot fired. A squib load is when you have a weak charge. If you have a weak charge on one of your last loads, for instance, when you get off the range and the bullet is still in there, then when you shoot it again, it could get stuck. The second one will pile up behind it. And possibility of damaging or blowing up the gun. But not just the last shot, but the first shot. You know, if you're firing rounds and you hear something that isn't right, stop immediately. If you hear something like a fuzzy sound rather than a shot. And 22 Magnum's real loud, so you'll know if it's a squib. But what you want to do is you still want to take that out. Have your proper etiquette. Check the cylinders. We've checked all the cylinders. I'll put down my phone for a second here. And I'll show you since we cleared the 22 Magnum, I can show it to you now. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, including the gun shop. If the gun shop does not clear a weapon, I don't care if it's empty, they're doing the wrong thing. They need to get back to etiquette. And along with that, making sure the muzzle is pointed in a safe direction, which is a brick wall. You don't want to point it towards the wall, because in that direction, it could go through quite a few pieces of sheetrock. So you always want to practice safety etiquette. If you're not pointing this, if you're inside, you're pointing it towards something that's a nice backstop that's going to stop that bullet. But if you're outside, you're going to make sure that the muzzle is pointing downrange, and you're aware of what your target is and what's beyond it for a backstop. So if you're on the range, you never want to point it sideways like I'm doing either, because there might be people shooting next to you. So you always want to have it downrange, and then your finger indexed right here, like that. So you'd be having it like this when you're loading it on the range. Never point the barrel this direction on the range, or this direction. You always want to be downrange. So I'll give you a little sample of what it looks like here. Okay. So these are one-hand videos I'm doing for you. So that's why it's so tricky. So I'm just doing one hand. Now this thing, I think, is about 14 ounces. This is light. I mean, I know Smith & Wesson makes a 357 that's 12 ounces or something like that. It's just crazy, or even lower than that, scandium frame. But for a 22 Magnum, you know, I think it's about 14 ounces. This is amazing. This weapon can be taken out of an appendix holster very, very quickly. And because the barrel's short, you can come out of your holster appendix, and the barrel's so short that you're already on target faster than anybody else with the longer barrel. So there's a lot of advantages for a revolver, because you can carry it any way you want. And the reason you can carry it any way you want is because you have a long trigger pull. And it's not just going to go off. I mean, even if you bump something on the trigger, it's probably most likely not going to go off. But you can draw it very, very quickly, because although it's a small gun, it's got a nice big grip. So they spent time to make sure that you can get all fingers on that grip. So you got a good hold of the weapon. You're not fumbling. When you pull it out, it's already in your hand. Good grip. And like I said, there's less distance to pull that gun out and face it like that. So once you're coming out, you're not going like this. You're not going like that. When you come out, you want to point it towards the target and then push forward. But by that time, you've already fired a shot. So that's one of the advantages of all revolvers. Appendix is they're very, very quick to get out of the holster. And law enforcement will tell you that too. Some of the hardest guys, you know, in shootouts with and stuff, and dangerous situations are guys carrying appendix with the revolver, something like a 38 or something like this, because the barrels are just so short. You can draw them very, very quickly, you know, just like that in an instant. You know, I know Jerry McCulloch's fast. I know that. You know, he's fast with the draw and stuff like that, but you can come pretty close or faster than he is, depending on where you carry. So speed is a good thing. And if you don't have hand speed, you can cheat a little bit by having an appendix holster, having a big grip, having a short barrel so you can whip it out and you're ready to go. So that's one of the benefits of revolvers. And it's got a big trigger guard so you can get your finger in there. That's one of the benefits. But anyway, hope I didn't bore you guys too much. Kind of fuzzy. But like I said, I don't like autofocus at all. I like manual focus. Because manual focus, what you do is you just go in and it naturally is going to look clear. But autofocus, whenever you move, it's going to keep trying to adjust itself. So, but this is an Android, and it's a good phone and stuff. I'm just using, you know, 720p. I'm not using the 1080 because I can load video up faster, and I feel that 720p is fine. So if I wanted to, I could go 1080p, but then it takes longer to upload. And then some people with weaker computers or whatever, they might appreciate that it's not like 4K or something like that. So you want to keep it clear enough so people can see, but you don't want to make it so data rich that it can't be uploaded or nobody can watch the video. So, and today YouTube has I think they still have a quality adjuster where you can turn down the quality so you can see the video if you have, say, like a weaker computer that has a smaller, you know, like a processor for RAM, random access memory. So RAM is very important in a computer for processing data. So people forget about it. It's not storage memory. It's memory that has to do with the processor. It's totally different. But anyway, once again, there's a peek at the ammunition. 22 Magnum. Thank you for watching, you guys.